Hey guys, it's One Shot Kill here. Just doing a quick basic overview video for a non-destructive workflow. Something that's pretty fundamental but pretty essential if you want to be getting into graphic design, especially at a professional level. So, obviously, you guys may just look at what you're doing right now is doing signatures and doing things that are just free, quick little things. However, some of you may just find that you actually love working with graphics and you might choose to make a career out of it. So one of the first things you need to learn is what's called the non-destructive workflow, which is a proper workflow for working with your graphics and keeping things intact. So this is just going to be a basic overview, and I can dive in deeper to any of the actual topics because there's a lot inside of that goes into the non-destructive workflow. As far as elements go and working with the different layers and the different features of the Adobe Master Suite. So I've just decided to show you a few of my past projects that I've worked on. Kind of compiled some things, a few different things into one PSD. So the non-destructive workflow, just diving into that, is basically the idea behind it is, you have to look at the keyword non-destructive. What that means is, designing in a way that you're not destroying your assets. As a designer, as you design more things, you're going to grow your list of assets. This can be brushes, this can be textures, images, past work. Those will all become technically assets. You can go back into them, you can edit them, you can reuse bits and pieces. I don't recommend reusing anything exactly the way you did before, but you can get inspiration and kind of tweak things and use them in another layout, another design, whatever it may be. All that stuff. You don't have to just throw it away after one use. You can throw that into a library and use that. Now, the one thing that you'll find though is if you go in here and say, let me just show you something real quick here. Let me go ahead and go to my eraser, and I'm going to choose this layer over here, which is this flower layer. Increase the size real quick right here. Now say, just for some reason, I'm just going to do something kind of stupid here just to show an example. Say I just want to get rid of this part, and I kind of have my, I'm using a soft brush here. Switch to a hard brush, maybe, okay? Say I don't want that part of this flower, okay? For some reason, I just kind of want the inside. So I'm erasing, the outside of this flower, and I just want that, yellow part. So I would just continue to work in and drop my brush size down, go into detail. Obviously, there's a lot better ways to do this, but I'm just giving you a quick example here. Okay, so now I have this layer, right, and it's getting closer to what I want, the inside of the flower. However, the case is I've also removed all the pixel and image information that was all around it. So there you had a nice, beautiful flower image that could be used for other things, possibly in the future. A nice stock image, but you've destroyed um, the file as it was. You've pretty much destroyed your asset. If you save it like this, obviously you can go download it and try to find it again, whatever the case may be. But there's no need to really destroy any part of an asset, even if you're not going to use it in your design and you're not worried about it. You don't have to destroy it. Adobe actually builds in a lot of features, especially nowadays, to promote the non-destructive workflow. Things such as masking, layer adjustment layers, overlay layers, different layer modes, path selections, different things like that. Let me just revert this file. But what you don't want to do is just say, hey, let me take all my asset layers and just merge them because I know I'm done now. There's a reason that you have a PSD file, and that's to keep the layers. It's so you can keep a working file. You want to save out, your whatever your final piece is as a PNG, JPEG, GIF, whatever you choose to use. So what you see here, I'm just going to show you a few different examples, and like I said, I will dive in deeper in these in future videos if there's interest. Is one of the things I did is I took this flower and I decided to give it a stone look. Actually, it's what was requested by the client. So they wanted this flower to have a nice little stone look to it. So if you look over here, I'm actually using a series of image overlays. This layer here, is basically was isolated from one of the channel paths. You go into here, that's a whole nother tutorial, but there's actually different channels. There's RGB, which is all, and then you have your red, green, blue channel paths, and I'll get into that more in another video. Here you have an adjustment layer, and what an adjustment layer is, and I'm not clicking these on yet, so you can't see the effect quite yet, is basically it's a layer that allows you to make an adjustment to a layer underneath, and you can apply it to one layer or a set of layers, or you can just have it apply to your whole composition. But the basic idea is you can turn it on and off, on and off, on and off, and hopefully you're able to see that. I've done some lighting adjustments with this layer on the flower, so it gets a little bit darker, and it just works with what I did for the stone effect a little bit better. But you can turn it on and off rather than going on here and brushing on, the burn tool directly onto this layer, or doing an overlay. You can just do a simple, adjustment layer rather than, destroying your assets and, doing things that you can't get back. Once you delete some pixel information, it's very hard to get back. So let me just go through here. Here we have this layer here where I've kind of given it, if you see, I've changed kind of the colors. And this is, again, it's an overlay selection from one of the channel colors, just to kind of drop out some of the color and get it ready for the texture that I'm going to apply. And again, here is my adjustment layer. Again, it's messing with the lighting, and it's just going to make it pop when I drop this rust texture over it. So here we have this rust texture. Because of the color schemes and the grays, it kind of just gives it that nice petrified look. And again, I haven't touched my initial layer at all. If I unclick all of these, it just goes right back to the way it was originally. Okay, so hopefully you kind of get the idea. So here you have some very dead, dried out leaves. These ones kind of, they're not quite all the way dried out, but they've lost their green, vibrant color. They're starting to turn red, starting to decay. You can see the parts that have been eaten by bugs or whatever, and they're decaying a little bit. Well, if you want to adjust the color on something, what you can do is you can create an isolation. You can do that simply, depending upon the different types of colors you have in your image. You can do that also through the channels. There's actually a way that you can select certain things just based off the color. And what you do is you go in, and again, this is partly for another video, but you find the one that has the most contrast. Like for example, on this particular image, it happens to be the red channel, and basically, you select it. Hitting command click on your Mac, control click on your PC, and it gives you a nice starter area to go with. Then you can actually inverse the selection, and then you only have to paint in a few little areas that you want to add to your selection. But again, that's another video. But either way, you get a selection. What you'd want to do is get a selection, and then once you get that selection, you can basically just, rather than, again, painting it green directly onto that layer, you can do a color overlay. And what this does is, if you see here, I've literally turned the leaves back to green. And if you see this little color box here, I can actually, if I wanted to do something stupid or just weird, or go, different colors, or adjust, maybe I don't want to do something weird. Maybe I just want to adjust the color slightly, whatever it may be. Depending upon, what feedback from my client. Again, there was no client on this one, but I'm just saying for, your graphic design. Traditionally, you're going to be doing something for somebody else in most cases, and they may want to have an adjustment. So I'll cancel out of that. I like the color that I had on it. It's nice, just fell off the tree look, I think. But again, it's all done by, I haven't touched the main layer at all. Here we go a little bit different, and this will be the last thing I show you for this basic overview. Start off with a wall, and this is the other image that I used. Okay, a flower, and again I used the channel selection to get me started for this image, which gave me my selection masks over here. If you see where my cursor is, those are both selection masks. So I'm using masking, and then you apply a little bit of a texture to it. And overall, let me turn off this right here. You can kind of see it's like a little bit of paint splatter or whatever on the wall, but obviously, this layer right here completes it. So here you kind of have like this graffitied sunflower look on the wall. So basically, as you can see, again, nothing has been destroyed here. I can literally, if I turn these off, both the wall and the flower images have been untouched. Although, if I save this out, you know, like this, I'm going to get the image that I want. So I'm going to get the effect that I want. I'm going to get the look that I want, but everything remains untouched. And I did these, actually worked on these over a year ago. I can go back into any of them and tweak them, change them, do something, completely move, stuff around. The best way to go is the non-destructive workflow. So you're going to be dealing with masks, selections, selection masks, clipping. Again, say you're going to do a render. A lot of people will get their selection and then they'll delete everything behind, outside of their selection. I used to do that too, but that's not the way to go. You're just destroying pixels, and the pixels, you got to love pixels if you're a graphic designer or a designer at all. You've got to love the pixels. So do not destroy the pixels. The pixels are your friend, and just mask it out. Simple as that. Rather than hitting delete, just hit your mask button. And basically what it's going to do is it's just going to do the same exact thing, except say, hey, say you get a nice image and you just want to isolate one soldier, but there's some other cool looking soldiers in the background. If you're looking at, like I say, a game screenshot or something like that, and if you delete it, you've lost those soldiers. However, if you just isolate the one out, if you want to go back in and use those other soldiers or something like that, if they're doing something cool in another piece, well, you still have that information. You just adjust your mask. You just paint in your mask, or either that, or you completely do a whole new mask, and then you isolate them out and mask out the other soldier. So again, just an example. There's a lot more to how to actually work through the workflow, but I thought this would be a nice quick overview just to introduce the idea to you all. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Please feel free to post feedback, and if you're interested in learning more about this type of thing, feel free to let me know, and I'll put together some more videos for you. All right, thank you. Enjoy.